Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2026 Kentucky State Fair Steer Show. We started in this morning with the AOB class in the ring now, Class 1 of the AOBs. Congratulations to our Class 1 winner, Miss Emma Atkins from London, Kentucky, with her steer weighing 1,080 pounds. Bring that second class in at this time, please.
Testing 1, 2.
Let's bring those AOB percentage steers be coming to the makeup area.
Well, excuse me. This microphone's a little touchy. Hey, this second class right here of AOB steers, we got three really, really nice calves, but more importantly, we got three really good kiddos. I'm going to start with Owen's Black Angus steer here, a calf that I thought, as we looked at the trio, was probably just the nicest balanced, most compositionally correct steer of the group. He really is a lot trimmer through his lower 1/3. He's neater up through his neck and shoulder. When I got my hands on him, I thought he touched leaner, but still was market ready. And then he's super expressive off the backside of his shoulder. He's the most impressive in terms of his ribeye roll and back into his loin edge. Calf goes adequately structured. He could be changed just a bit in that regard. But I think all in all, he's the highest quality steer in the group, again, that's got the best composition. Miss Sadie Joe is here in second, and she's got a really nice red-necked Hereford here. He's a little soggier middled and just a little easier flesh, and perhaps even than Owen's Angus calf, and a wide base steer, I think, altogether. I'd like to maybe just change him a bit structurally. He tends to get a little wider through his shoulder and down through his knee and a little more forward in that area. And then from behind, maybe could go just a little bit more elite. And then maybe just make him a little higher cutability. I think he's in a good position to grade choice, but maybe just a little fatter relative to being a little plainer in his muscle underneath it. Andrew's in third here, and he's got kind of the outlier in the class. This calf's big frame and long-bodied and super long neck. I really like how rugged structured he is. He's got a big forearm. He's big bone. I'd just like to see this calf a little bit more market ready. Andrew, he's so maybe big and long and late maturing that he's not quite ready yet, and yet he's still pretty heavy, right? And so he could still be fed and add another 150, 200 pounds on him before probably he's just maxed out. I'd like to change his structure a little bit and just give him more body capacity as you work him through his forerib and down into the base of his heart and back into his flank. If y'all don't mind, let's give those three excellent exhibitors a big round of applause and congratulate them on a fine job.
Your placings in Class 2 of your purebred steers, AOB. First went to Owen Adams of Nicholasville, Kentucky, with second going to Sadie Joe Brown of Hardinsburg. Coming in third is Andrew Ray of Brooksville. Now in the ring is the championship drive for AOB purebred steers.
Can you hear me? Yep. All right, so here in our AOB drive, we've got every kind of fruit in the basket that y'all might want, the Belted Galloway, the Black Angus, and the Hereford, so take your choice on what your favorite breed is. I'll discuss the differences. The Oreo out here, he's a calf that is now behaving considerably better, and I'm sure she's happy about that. He likes friends. He doesn't want to be by himself. This calf, for his breed, I think is real nice. He's deep-bodied. He's easy feeding. He's market-ready. Looks like a calf that finished at a little bit lighter weight. So maybe ideally we just progress him, make him bigger muscled, make him a little heavier in terms of his carcass weight. But I think his angles read right. He's big bone. He's good footed. And I congratulate you on a nice job. Then here in our second class, I chose Owens Black Angus calf, a really good looking calf, probably his best shots just right here where I'm at. He's really long-sided, really level-hipped and level in his top line, super trim and trendy through his chest and his shoulder, really extended and clean out through his neck. And yet, he's not hard-made. He's got a lot of body capacity. I really like him compositionally from a cutability standpoint as I get my hands on him and touch him down his top. He's real firm and expressive, but yet I think he's real ideal in regards to his back fat. So, Owen, you're going to have our champion AOB steer. Let's give this young man a nice round of applause. Miss Sadie Joe is back there in second in that class, and you can just stay there, Sadie. You're doing great. A calf that I like how just moderate and bold-ribbed and big-ribbed he is. He's got some width to him. It's not quite as expressive, and like to tighten him up a little bit in his chest and change him in his front structure. I personally think, though, his width and burliness and extra carcass weight needs to prevail. Sadie Joe, you're going to have my reserve champion AOB steer. Congratulations.
Congratulations to our champion purebred AOB steer belonging to Owen Adams of Nicholasville, steer weighing 1455. You reserve Sadie Joe Brown from Hardingsburg, Kentucky, weighing 1432. Congratulations to the exhibitors. And for the top three, Andrew Ray from Brooksville, Kentucky. This calf coming in at 1420. Need Emma Atkins in the room.
Test. Hey, in these breeds, we're going to pick 3 overall. We don't know where the third place in that class went, so make sure as you exhibitors are showing throughout the day that y'all stick around. Just be aware that we're picking 3 in each breeder division. So we're going to go with our Belted Galloway, okay? He's going to be our 3rd overall steer here in our AOB division. Congratulations to you, young lady.
Let's bring that class 3 percentage AOB steers. Bring them on in. Let's have test, test, test. Let's have those eight.
Well, we've gotten into a really, really nice trio of cattle. This is the composite AOB division, I'm told. So I presume I didn't ask these guys, but maybe we're dealing with low percentage semi or maintainers or something of the likes. Okay, but I really, really think that the top pair is very good and has some trade-offs. They're kind of settling in now, where I can kind of get a better look at them. But particularly your calf, Grayson, this is a steer that, he was a little worked up and a little revved up. He's ready to go. What I see is that both of them are very acceptable in their structure. I think they take a big stride. If you're down here on the chips with me, you'd see that I think both of them have pretty respectable feet shape for club calf genetics. I think this calf is a little more intriguing just from the profile, in the sense that, first off, he starts off better in his head quality. But for as moderate as he is in his hip height, he is a mile long in regards to his length of body and his length of hip. He's got a tremendously big, stout, square hind leg in him. And as I roll in behind the cattle versus your calf in second, Connor, this calf's quite a bit wider, quite a bit longer hipped, and quite a bit stouter just in the way that it sits in there. Down his top, when I gripped him, he's quite a bit bigger over his 13th rib. Still handles very consistent in his finish. Just a pretty intriguing calf. If you beat that steer, and those of y'all in the audience, if you say, well, I like the calf in second's a little smoother shouldered. That calf's got a little bit more engine, but he's got more caboose with it, and so I like that relationship better. Connor here is a young man I enjoyed meeting. I looked at his buckle, and he was a high individual at the state judging contest, and that's something that I'm very passionate about, and I congratulate Connor for, and I wish him the best in his career judging here in junior college. This is a really nice calf in motion. Connor, I really like just how good structured, how good he is in his feet and legs. You've presented him very, very well. He's got a head on him probably only his mother could love. The calf is kind of dish-faced and kind of dented in there, and he gets just a little bit average in terms of back and butt. He gets a little bit shorter and rounder in terms of his pin set. So mainly like to just open him up and change his head if we could, if that's important. The calf that we've got here in third of Oliver's. Oliver, I told him this is a calf that, good job to you. This is a calf that's big outline, long-bodied, and got performance. He holds value in our industry. arguably just as much or more than the other two steers, if you want to be honest about it. But he gets just a little more average in his foot shape.
Placings in Class 3, and that is your percentage AOB steers. Class winner is entry 41, William Hardesty from Brandenburg, Kentucky, and his steer weighing 1495. Second in the class is entry 12, that's Colton Carnes from Union, Kentucky, with the steer weighing 1378. And third in class and Kentucky Proud Champion is entry 11, Oliver Gripsover of Auburn, Kentucky, and the steer weighing 1509. Your champion percentage AOB steer going to William Hardesty, and the reserve going to Colton Kearns, with the Kentucky Proud Champion being Oliver Gripsover. Congratulations. Next in the ring is our Charolais division. We'll be starting out with Class 4.
Keep your mouth on it and it sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we got it. I think I got it figured out. It must have just been that loose cord underneath there.
Yeah, probably was.
Well, I hope we can all agree that regardless of how you like these three, they're all three really good, and all three of these gentlemen should be very proud of the cattle they're exhibiting here. I know they've worked their tails off to get this kind of hair code on them and to present them in the manner that they have, just in terms of the way they're fit and the way they're exhibited. I'll explain what I see, and we'll just go from there. I personally thought in the big picture, all three cattle offered an immense amount of quality. I like the structural soundness of the first two better than the orange calf that we've got there in third. I think these cattle just in motion are put together a little more appropriately in terms of the slope of their blade and the flex of their knee and back into their hock and just the general squareness off both ends. Between these two, the yellow calf has a little bit of the upper hand today in regards to just where we're at in terms of extra weight and muscle mass. He's a calf that, for me personally, is heavier muscle. Down his top, he's not a bear, but I think comparatively in this pair, he's a little square right over the edge of his 13th. He's got a little bit more width and spread from hooks to pins, and collectively has more mass that will feature a little bit more lean muscle tissue on his carcass. I thought from the outside when he collects himself, he's really good and high in the ascension of his neck, still pretty bold in terms of the center of his full rib. I could increase the shape of his full rib or down into the base of his heart and maybe even widen him a little bit at the point of his hock as he leaves me. But I thought collectively a sound, compositionally correct, good-looking calf that was the most complete in the group. The calf I've got here in second of Hudson's, this smoke calf, I say that one's the most complete. This one rivals him in that regard. There's no major holes. He's maybe just as attractive or the most attractive steer in terms of the length and stretch out through his front one-third. I thought really honest in terms of his structure. He's a calf that's weighing maybe in the low 13s, you said. He's just maybe not quite there yet in terms of maxing out his terminal merit, in terms of just spread of muscle off the backside of his shoulder. And then from hooks to pins, he maybe gets a little bit closer to average, but take nothing away of how good that calf is from a feet and leg structure standpoint, from a balance perspective, and then just a general body standpoint. I think he's very proportional in the way he's put together. Just need to power him up just a bit to turn the yellow calf for me today. Brooks's calf, again, he's probably the biggest bone, probably the biggest in his forearm, maybe the biggest muscled steer of the three. He's got a real wide spread up high, got lots of dimension from behind. I certainly don't have a problem with him in terms of his power parts. I told Brooks here I just would like to see that calf a little sounder. For me, he gets a little straight through his front end and knee, gets a little bit the same way in terms of the feature to his hock and the way he moves there. He kind of shuffles it. He's a calf as well. I know it. I don't really mean to talk about heads too much. I said it on that last class, but this calf gets a little bit Roman nose, like to change maybe just his skull shape just a little bit. So great class. Congratulations to all three of y'all.
Congratulations to our exhibitors in Class 4. Winning the class, entry number 25 from Kel Redmond from Guston, Kentucky, a steer weighing 1430. Second in class, entry 22, belonging to Hudson Beckett from Brooksville, Kentucky, steer weighing 1301. And third in class is Brooks Peterson from Nancy, Kentucky, steer weighing 1405. Congratulations to our exhibitors. Next in, Class 5, 2 entries.
test. As we get into the second class of Charolais Composites, obviously two cattle that are very contrasting in regards to their hair coat. We're not out here to judge hair, but obviously it makes a little bit of a difference. Regardless of hair coat or not, I think both cattle are good and both have a lot of carcass merit. There's one that's absolutely on another level. Claire, your steer here hits me real hard. I love him a ton. This calf, what I love about him here is his proportionality from the side. I talk a lot about it with our students, but his level of, I love where he's at hip height-wise. He's moderate. He's not too big. He's not a midget, but yet he's extraordinarily long-bodied, extraordinarily long hip, extraordinarily long-necked. And so you talk about, you'll hear judges talk about proportionality. To me, in the cattle game, that's what it's about, right? That extra length of body in a moderate package generates more performance. He's still got the density from a three-dimensional perspective. Y'all can see the length of his hip, the volume of his round. You get in behind him, the calf does not disappoint, and down his top, he's highly progressive. He's almost made a little bit like a show lamb in the fact that he progresses from front to rear, kind of wedged in his shoulder. I could almost widen him a little bit through the floor of his shoulder and through his knee, but he just absolutely continues to open up. He is so good out of his rump and hind leg. And in motion, he gets a little stubborn when he moves that way, but just the natural lay and angles and posture of his feet and leg structure is next level. Tremendously smooth finish. It's going to take a really good one to beat that one. The calf that we've got here is Sarah's. I was asking Sarah what the pedigree was on this steer, trying to figure out how you create kind of that gray roan look, if you will. But he's a neat calf, and I know he's bald like the guy behind the microphone. But this calf is really big muscled. You've done a marvelous job, Sarah, getting him finished. He's very even in his cover. In terms of just quality grade and yield grade, he's right there with any calf. I'm sure we'll judge this afternoon. In terms of the eliteness of his hind leg, it misses a step just a little bit, just in terms of the flex of his ankle, kind of rolls up there. But I don't want to discredit just how good that steer is from a carcass standpoint. So let's give those two young ladies a big round of applause. Congratulations. Thank y'all for bringing them to the Kentucky State Fair.
Congratulations to the exhibitors in Class 5 of the Charolais Steers. Winning the class is entry 23. That's Clara Holloway from Homestead, Kentucky, and the calf win 14.59. Second in class, entry 10, and that's Sarah Barron from Mount Vernon, Kentucky, calf win 15.25. We're waiting on those calves to get across the scales to come back in for the champion Charolais division.
Yep, we'll bring in the seconds as well. Hey, if y'all don't mind, let's put our hands together, congratulate our Charolais Composite exhibitors. And I'm sure we will continue to have an outstanding show, but man, am I impressed. For no more calves than we had in these two classes, I thought every calf we had was extremely strong, and I just want to commend these young people on the effort and job that they've done, selecting, feeding, and getting them ready here, and then their level of showmanship. That first class, I thought there was some trade-off, in my own opinion, in the top pair. I thought this kind of light yellow calf, I love his color, but he's just really fresh in his composition. He's high cutability in his kind. I think he's real honest through the floor of his body in terms of just his trimness, but yet up high, he's got a respectable amount of progressive shape over his 13th and loin edge. He's respectable out of his hip. His angles read right. I thought just a real nice, complete calf. He just kind of outmassed, in my own opinion, the smoke calf back there. But two good-looking calves. We stuffed it up quite a bit when we came into that next class. Clara, your calf here, I've already told you I love him a ton. This calf, I just got to be honest with y'all, he's right up my alley in terms of just his proportionality. The size of his bone is not coarse. It's big and it's progressive. He's got awesome feet. This is a really good calf, Clara. I hope you like him a bunch. I hope you like him as much as I do. Do you like this calf? Are you okay with him being the champion? All right. We'll make your wishes come true. Let's give her a big round of applause and congratulate on our champion. You know, to follow for reserve, again, Sarah, I love your calf from a carcass standpoint. He's, like I said, maybe not quite as elite just in the posture to his hind leg from, honestly, just a show cattle standpoint, but he's a really nice, just kind of a steer for our industry. We're going to follow with Kel's yellow calf. Let's congratulate him on a job well done. Really nice calf. Very proud to have him there in that reserve slot. Hudson, this smoke calf that you've got, I want to say something because I didn't say it earlier, but I don't know if you have intentions of showing this calf again, but I could see this calf with another 150, 200 pounds on him, maybe at Louisville here in the fall, and that may not be your plans. I have no idea. But he would really continue to incline and get better and better because his feet and leg structure is awesome. His balance is awesome. He just got a little outweighed and a little outmassed today. He will continue to get more powerful as you feed him. That's a really nice calf. Congratulations. He'll be third overall, okay?
Congratulations to the exhibitors in the Charolais division here as we move forward in the show today. Coming out of the Charolais classes, our champion was entry 23. That's Clara Holloway from Olmsted, Kentucky, calf weighing 1459. Reserve champion would be Cale Redmond. And that's a calf number 25 from Guston, Kentucky, weighing 1430. And the third overall would be calf number 22, which would be Hudson Beckett of Brooksville, Kentucky, weighing 1301. Congratulations to the Charolais division. Coming in next is the Chianina steers, Class 6. Class 6, Chianina. Let's have all those Chianina calves at the makeup area, please, along with main end ewes heading that away.
All right, we'll talk these three in the order that they're in. I like the calf on the far right here to start. Michaela will start the class. Michaela, your calf, I know he's still pretty lightweight right now. He's not to his maximum endpoint, but this calf for his weight is ready to rumble in regards to muscularity and lean shape. He's a tremendously high cutability calf. When you get him set up here, he's got an awesome look from his blade forward. He's round bodied. He gets a little bit rounder in his rump line, maybe relative to his tail head. He comes to the ground with a lot of force. He's big-legged on all four corners. Maybe could limber him up just a fraction out of his hind leg, but that's a really good, useful kind of cutability steer. That'll have a lot of red meat yield in him. The calf that we've got here in second, Zyler, you're doing a good job, bud. I generally always like to ask the kiddos their names and make it as personal as I can. I don't think I've ever met a young man named Zyler. I like that name, very unique. And you got a calf that I thought in this respective pair, it's probably honestly pretty close. We got one that's kind of low to the ground and early maturing, and then we've got a calf behind you that's kind of got some frame and some length and is kind of late maturing. I felt like probably your calf, Zyler, just fit the calf we started more in terms of just pattern, probably more so. He gets a little knuckled up on his back ankle. Like I said, he's a little bit short-legged, Zyler. I like to make him bigger in his kind, but he is certainly bold and wide in regards to his rib cage and got some spread and muscle mass in the center of his stifle, particularly from the side. I'd probably like to see him a little square in his upper shape. And then the calf that we've got here in third, young lady, beautiful steer in terms of length of body. Honestly, the way he travels isn't too far off the mark. He's just mainly a calf that's a little bit wiener dog bellied. He's just a little bit tight ribbed and needs just a little more body to accommodate that extra elevation and just get a lot closer from a finish standpoint to consider a market ready and ready to go choice. Let's give those three exhibitors there a nice round of applause. They did a great job.
Congratulations to our Class 6 Chianina steers. Winning the class, is steer number 30, Michaela Massey from London, Kentucky, calf weighing 1230. Second in class was Zyler Amir from South Shore, Kentucky, calf winning 1310. And third in class, Macy Shelton from Paris, Kentucky, calf weighing 1345. Next in the ring, Class 7 Chianina.
This this is actually, for me, a very, very interesting pair because we're kind of looking at a calf that, from a frame and weight standpoint, that I'm going to use over here to the far right, is more in line with our show steer expectations in terms of making them moderate and bold and chunky and a little lower to the ground. And then, Claire, your calf is very tempting because my natural bias, very infrequently do I go against the hip and hind leg that I prefer. He's a calf that, in terms of frame score, is up there. And so a guy has to decide. And I understand he's more in line probably weight-wise. He weighs about 1589 with cattle that we're harvesting today. And those of y'all that know me that come watch me judge steer shows or whatever, y'all know I don't care necessarily how big they are. But he's starting to climb the ladder a little bit from a height standpoint. I'd like to just moderate him down just a little bit. And then maybe just see him a little bolder in terms of his foreribs. So really, to me, that becomes the decision. And I'm going to go with the kind of the chocolate steer here. He's a calf that, as I touch him, he's a calf that, Luke, his back is absolutely out of this world big. He's got a tremendously round rib cage in him. He's just a little bit more market ready to the touch in terms of finish and coverage. I'd like to change his hip and hind legs. I'm not in love with his feet. The big steer again, love his hip and hind leg structure from the side. He rolls it a little bit going away. Mainly like to see him a little bigger back for his frame. I like the ribeye to carcass weight relationship a little better in the more moderate steer. Very, very interesting pair of cattle. Both very good and very useful, just depending on your preferences. Congratulations to those kids.
Congratulations to our Chianina exhibitors in Class 7. Winning the class, entry 28, Luke Bays from Walton, Kentucky. His calf weighing 1425. Second in class, entry 31, and that's Clara Beth Peterson from Nancy, Kentucky, with a calf weighing 1589. As soon as those calves make their way across the scales, we'll be bringing them back in for our champion Chianina drive.
All right. Well, here in our key division, again, we had a tremendous amount of quality. I'll go ahead and start talking these class winners as those seconds come in and position themselves. Out of that first class, we've got just a good, youthful, lightweight steer weighing in the 1,200 range of Michaela's. And this calf, again, I just really value cattle that are round rib more so than deep bodied. And this calf is made in like a cylinder. He is packed full of muscle. And got a beautiful front end to him. He's not there yet in terms of market readiness. He would need a little more time. I'd like to maybe just lengthen and level his hip structure out. And maybe, although I love his muscle shape, could tie it a little longer into the top of his hind leg there. And Zeiler did a great job back there with kind of the little ground pounder, if you will, to follow into second. We get into this second class, and I was just kind of enamored by both of them because again they're two different speeds, and a guy's got to figure out exactly kind of where he wants to be, probably more so from a frame score standpoint. I like this more moderate, kind of chunky rig right here of Luke's. I admit that the other calf is much better in his hip and hind leg structure, but I just love the shape and the dimension, the market readiness, the smoothness of cover. He's still a very proportionally balanced steer with good show steer pieces here from the side. Luke, you'll have my champion. Let's give him a nice round of applause. Yes, sir. Claire, your smoked calf, I asked her if she fit this calf because I said I would give his fit job a 10. Whoever fit him, props to you. This is a calf that is presented gorgeously. He's just kind of an interesting calf because at 1589, most judges are probably going to call him a little big for the show ring, not the industry. He's just a little bit longer and narrower headed and maybe just a little emptier in terms of maybe finish and forerib. But I do love his structure and I do love his balance and silhouette. To carry that kind of weight as fresh as he is, he's an awesome steer. He's going to be my reserve champion. Congratulations to this young lady. You bet. Third, we'll reach down here for Michaela's black calf and out of that light class. Congratulations to you.
Well, congratulations to the Chianina exhibitors. Your champion in the Chianina division is entry 28, Luke Bays from Walton, Kentucky. His calf weighing 1425, with the reserve being entry 31, Clara Beth Peterson from Nancy, Kentucky, weighing 1589. And third in the division is entry 30, Michaela Massey from London, Kentucky, calf weighing 1230. Congratulations to our exhibitors in the Chianina division. We're ready for the main Anjou steers to be coming in.
Three very good steers here exhibited by three very experienced and seasoned showmen. I think there's quite a bit of trade-off here, actually. As you look at the calf I've started here in this main class, I liked him best in motion. I thought structure and in motion was the separating point or separating shot in this particular go. This calf, for me, has got the most reach and range of motion naturally out of his hock and his rear joints. He's got a good step just in terms of his foot claw shape and just a really nice calf in motion. He's one that I thought held his top line naturally very level, but yet pliable and on the go as well. And he parks and sets up. He shoots his neck up out of his shoulder. He's not the biggest in terms of his lower stifle. I'd like to expand him there just a bit more. For a set of more conservatively weighing steers, I thought he was the most on target from just a flank and finish standpoint. When you put your hands on him, and he still, even though he gives up a little bit of stifle, I thought was one of the better cattle in terms of his top shape. Mason, your steer here in second. He's a little bigger in terms of just the roll and turn to his rounded stifle. Probably a little more expressive up high, and that was what made it close for me. I thought personally he got a little thicker in his neckline relative to getting a little immature in his flank. He probably still needs just a few more days on the calendar before that calf really optimizes his terminal merit. He's a nice calf, not bad structurally. I still viewed the other one to maybe stay a little square from hock to ground going away and a little more flexible in his hock. The calf that Addison's got here in 3, a slick-haired steer, honestly, in terms of just body cavity, rear rib and flank, and then turn to a stifle from the side and balance, I think he's as strong as any of those. He makes a strong argument to start the class in that regard. We get him in motion. He wants to get just a little up on his toes off both ends of his structure, particularly through his shoulder and his knee and down into his front foot. But we just need to get him out and stride him more athletically for me to get him up in that first or second slot. Congratulations, y'all. A nice trio of main on juice steers.
Congratulations to our Man Anju exhibitors in Class 8. Winning the class, entry 47, Claire Beth Peterson from Nancy, Kentucky with a calf weighing 1275. Second in class, entry 44 from Mason Arnett, Mount Sterling, Kentucky, calf weighing 1260, and that is your Kentucky Proud champion in this class. Third in class, entry 46, and that's Madison McGlone from Grayson, Kentucky, calf weighing 1325. Next in is Class 9, Main Anju Steers, Class 9.
another outstanding class. I thought a pretty logical class winner amongst three very good cattle. And I'm sure y'all probably would be relatively unanimous on that if we polled the audience. This calf just stands out because he's got an immense amount of power in his bone and his feature, but yet he's long-sided and got the right kind of length and measurements to really balance with an intriguing look. I liked his composition quite a bit as I got my hands on him and handled him over his loin edge. He's got a roaring turn over his 13th and going to cut a monster eye. He's really big-ended. He's maybe a little open over his last two ribs, but collectively I thought his back fat was right on target. He's been well fed, and I congratulate this young man on an outstanding job, Case. You really did yourself a good service in terms of managing his condition and getting him market ready, but compositionally correct and high cutability. The calf that we've got here in second of Bristol's, he's a calf that once again has a cutability advantage over the calf that we've got in 3. He's leaner, and yet he's still got a little bit of brisket. He's a little empty over his ribs, but I think he's a little closer to optimal when we compare what we need here in this particular decision. Bristol, he's got a lot of length and height of shoulder in terms of length of neck, and he's still got some depth of rib to him. For his size, Bristol, I'd like to see this calf just a little bigger in his back, just to give him a little more muscle relative to carcass weight, and make him a little bit wider through the base of his stifle and through his base width. But you did a fine job. I know he's a little bit of handful. He's kind of a high-headed steer that kind of looks around and doesn't want to settle down. You're doing a good job staying patient with him, and he's finally chilled out for you. Collins, your steer right here is what I used the term ground pounder earlier. I'd probably use it on your calf again. This calf is just very low to the ground, little shorter-legged, deep-bodied, wide base, thick-ended. I think he's got a little more muscle than the calf right in front of you. He's maybe just a little bit too soft. He maybe just enjoyed the feed bucket a little too much. He's got quite a bit of blanket of fat on him, and so I'd like to lean him up, just see him just a little more attractive in the posture to his hind leg. You did a great job, though, Collins. Very proud of you. Good job to all three of these exhibitors.
Congratulations to our Class 9 exhibitors. Winning the class, entry number 48. That's Case Redmond from Guston, Kentucky, calf weighing 1435. Second in class, entry 45. Brist Holloway exhibiting from Olmsted, Kentucky, 1530. And third in class, Collins Tate, entry 50 from Hardinsburg, Kentucky, weighing 1421. As soon as those calves get across the scales, we'll be showing for champion man Anjou.
All right. Well, I think we've got what we need in here now to make a decision, and I thought we had two outstanding classes. Out of this first class, I thought structure was the deciding factor. This calf was the most elite in his build of his foot and the mechanics of his joint work. Just a really nice balanced calf, and he's market ready for his weight, even though he's not the biggest calf in the world, right? Claire, if we could average out your two steers' weights today, then we'd be about right, wouldn't we? She had the big Smoky that was reserved in the last division. That was 1589. Then the calf out of the second class here of cases. Man, I like this calf. He's really just compositionally correct. He's big and intense in his bone work and forearm. He's a calf that, kind of like I said earlier on that smoke calf that I liked so much, he's kind of got that moderate, same hip height, but in a real long-bodied package, and he moves very adequately. So, awesome calf. He will be our champion in this division. Congratulations to you, Case. Reserve champion in Bristol, you got a nice calf. He's just a little bit longer headed, maybe a little bit narrower base. We're going to go back to Claire's calf here and use her for reserve champion. Congratulations to you. And then for third overall, we're going to follow with Mason back here. Good job, young man. That was a close decision. Good job.
Well, congratulations to our exhibitors in the main Anjou division. Your champion belonging to Case Redmond, that's entry number 48 from Guston, Kentucky, weighing 1435. Your reserve champion, Clara Beth Peterson, entry 47 from Nancy, Kentucky, entry weighing 1275. And your third overall was Mason Arnett, entry number 44, coming from Mount Sterling, Kentucky, weighing 1260, and he will be your Kentucky Proud Champion in the main Anjou division. Next in, it's Percentage Red Angus steers. Percentage Red Angus steers. Have your attention in the barn. If you won a breed championship here, be sure and pick up a championship drive packet. You need to have that packet for your information in regards to the championship drive tomorrow evening.
Well, we're now in our Red Angus Composite division, and three very good cattle. The one up front is kind of the outlier. The two in the back are kind of bigger frame and longer sided and later maturing. The calf that Collins has got, she's doing a really nice job. I said, your calf's kind of deceiving in his color pattern because if you get up close to his face, you realize, of course, that he's red. He's a red steer, but at a distance, he almost looks black. He's so dark red. What I like is his more moderate package. He's got a bigger body cavity in him. He's just bolder and just a little bit more robust, if you will, in terms of just his type and kind. I like his ability to grade in terms of what I project. He's fatter and more market ready than the other two, and I think he'll have a great shot of being in that upper two-thirds choice or maybe even prime if he's got the right genetics. Good job to you, Collins. He has a little bit of a hitch in his giddy-up maybe at times in terms of his confidence off of his back left, but I think all in all his angles read probably the most appropriate in this particular class. The yellow calf I got here in second, he wants to get a little straight off both ends. So does the big orange calf here in third. I thought the decision really came down to smoothness. I like the smoothness of shoulder, the smoothness of hock in this calf. Obviously, the other steer's bigger bone, a little more rugged in his feature. For me, he just gets a little coarser jointed, maybe just a little bit coarser in his overall outline and a little bit tighter there and more swollen in terms of his hock. And so I just like the extra smoothness, the extra quality that I find in this steer personally between two cattle that are big, long-sided, high-growing cattle with a lot of performance. Let's give everybody in this group a big round of applause. Maddie did a great job. Just a steer that got a little bit extreme on us.
Our results are in the Red Angus division after the calves went across the scales. First in class and your champion of the Red Angus division is entry 14, Collins Tate from Hardinsburg, Kentucky. Calf weighing 1503. Reserve champion, second in class and reserve champion in this division, entry 54, Taylor Moore from Nancy, Kentucky. Calf weighing 1500. And third, entry 53, Madeline Ethington from Danville, Kentucky. Calf weighing 1605, and that will be third overall in the Red Angus division.
Well, I think we just got one class of Simmental steers here, and all four of them are outstanding. I see a lot of carcass merit potential in all of them, and all been fed and presented very outstandingly. I thought there was a calf that kind of stood out one more time in this group, just like we've talked about on several classes. Kleber's steer right here just has that presence, right? I mean, when you pick out a show calf at the beginning of the project, you want one that you just walk in the pen and instantly has that intriguing look that draws somebody in, because that's probably going to be, the same result whenever you get to the end. And I think that's been the case for you and your calf right here. I really like his head. I know I've been talking about heads quite a bit today, but he's just got a good cheek to him. He's a little shorter maybe in his face, but just a good broad head. And then the way he parks it on top of his shoulder, and then just starts to open up huge in his body cavity. He's twice as wide as he probably even needs to be from behind. He's really got a rear end in him, and he's big down his back and very market ready whenever I touched him. I thought you finished him spot on. When we get him in motion, he maybe gets a little bit tight in his hock. That's where I would upgrade him. But I thought standing there, Reed's very functional, and I think he's an easy class winner. The calf that we move with here in second, he just emulates that one in terms of being big and round and bold in his body cavity. He's maybe even got more expression in a more extreme manner in terms of how it wraps from behind. I'd like to lengthen that muscle pattern just a little bit. For as big as he is to the center of his stifle, I'd maybe actually spread him a little wider up high, but I really just like the roundness of body cavity, the intensity in terms of base width. He gets a little bit extreme in terms of his shoulder and his knee set. I'd like to push him back in, but I still thought today he probably moved more confidently than the calf we've got down here in third. The calf that Cash has in third here, the white flank calf, Cash, I think there's a lot of good in your steer. He's really strong in his top. He too's real round and bold-bodied. He too's very expressive. He may be even a little bigger back than the steer I put right in front of you. I thought as we got from behind him, he's square hip, but maybe fades just a shade more from behind. Mainly, he gets a little elevated in his tail head. I don't know if it's so much his angles or maybe the sensitivity of his feet, but he's very, very tight and very, very short stepping when we get him in motion. So I just went with more confidence and conviction today. Mason, your calf right here, long and choke neck. He's got some depth right through the middle of his rib. I like to open him a little rounder and fuller to the top side of his skeleton and then into the center of his forerib. Like to expand him and power him up just a little bit as I get him behind him. Just on a comparative note, it gives up some dimension to those three cattle in front of you today. But you did an outstanding job. Let's give her a nice round of applause and all of those in that class.
While the Simmental steers are going across the scales, we now have in the ring the shorthorn steer classes. Shorthorn steers are in the ring. Our Simmental division has weight across, and here are your results. Winning the class and your champion Simmental steer is entry 61, Caber Wolf from DeMossville, Kentucky, calf weighing 14-19. Your reserve, entry 58, and your reserve champion, second in class, is Harper Beckett from Brooksville, Kentucky, and he will be your Kentucky Proud champion in this division, weighing 1385. Third in this class, Cash Redmond, entry 59 from Guston, Kentucky, entry weighing 1335. And fourth in class is entry number 60, Mason Vowles from Brandenburg, Kentucky, entry 1360. Congratulations to our exhibitors in the Simmental division.
All right, we've got one class of shorthorn steers. They're all three different makes and models. Still pretty logical. Xander, I thought your calf won convincingly. He's kind of just a moderate, he's not the biggest calf in the world in terms of length of cannon bone or face, but, for his weight, he's finished out. He's moderate. He's really bold-ribbed. He's tremendously big-backed and dimensional and just loaded up with product. And, structurally, I don't know if he's a dream, but he's still plenty adequate and functional here in this particular group. The calf that Emma's got here in second versus the calf that Landon's got in third, there's some trade-off here. Obviously, I'm giving up some weight with my official placing. I'm giving up some muscle mass, perhaps. But personally, I think this calf, although a little lighter, is just cleaner jointed. I think he's nicer balanced through his chest floor and just his general lines. I think if we had more time on the calendar for that one to get heavier, we'd find him to be a calf that winds up being a little more compositionally correct and higher cut abilities. He sustains himself with an efficient level of feed conversion to heavier weight. So I'm going to go that direction today. Landon, your calf, I love how big-bodied he is. He's a calf that's really neat in terms of his neck up high. He gets a little bit narrow-headed and a little bit fatter-chested. I like to see that calf, as I get in behind him, study with just a little bit more genuine shape and mainly then just clean up those hocks. I told Landon here it's kind of at odds with the steer because he moves actually pretty darn good. Those hocks are just really, really gigantic. And so I hate that happened to that calf. He said it happened during the county fair. But let's give all three of those exhibitors there a big round of applause.
Coming in the ring next is the Shorthorn Plus steers. Shorthorn Plus steers coming in. Our Shorthorn division is weighed back. Winning the class and be the champion representing the Shorthorn breed is entry 5, and that's Xander Brown from Guston, Kentucky, weighing 1350. Second and reserve in this division, entry 4, Emma Atkins from London, Kentucky, and the calf weighing 1145. And third overall, third in class, entry 7, Landon Vessels from Brandenburg, Kentucky, entry weighing 1447.
All right, we have our Shorthorn Plus division. It has 3 very good kiddos in it and 3 nice calves, and we've got the big hairy black steer, not big, but the hairy black steer of Andrews is going to win. This calf, I've been talking about length of body today. Probably wouldn't be our prototype from that standpoint, but he is made a little more like a cube. You get him behind him, he's got the biggest back. He's really wide-ended, and he's just got the most spread and dimension to his rib cage. Very market-ready calf, a calf that just kind of outmasses and maybe outmatures the calf that we've got in second. Structurally, I'd say it's close enough. I would like to change him up a little bit. You could maybe argue that these other 2 steers behind him are a little more correct just in terms of foot placement and push and freedom off their rear, too. Abby's here in second, and she does not have the easiest calf in the world to show. Y'all can see he's got a little bit of jewelry there on his nose, but this young lady is doing a stand-up job. I'm very proud of you, Abby. If y'all saw the way she parked that calf and just kind of set him up from the side, she did a wonderful job. I like the length of body in this calf better. He's got some expression of muscle up high, maybe fades a little bit in his lower body shape, maybe fades a little bit to the ground from behind. Mainly, I don't know if he's quite as ready today in terms of just his overall maturity and his mass. Now this calf is showing like an angel. A second ago, he just wanted to skedaddle around just a little bit. But this is a calf that, you study the fundamentals. I think his angles are very good, particularly off of his hind leg. It's not that big, rugged, stout hind leg, but it's got the right kind of cushion to it. He's deep-ribbed. He's smooth shoulders. He's long-necked. Right now for his frame, he probably just reads a little flatter up high mainly. I'd like to see that calf have more spread and dimension. I'd like to see him maybe a little closer to market ready for his frame just in terms of back fat, but a really nice calf. Good job to you. I'm glad he finally settled down.
While we're waiting for our Shorthorn Plus calves to weigh across the steers, class coming in the ring will be class 14, and that'll be your crossbred steers. These calves will be weighing from 1190 to 1333. As we move into our crossbred division, I'd like to take a moment to introduce our judge a little bit. We had some mic issues and going on there earlier in the show. Mr. Ryan Rathman, he is an associate professor in beef cattle biology and a holder of the John W. and Doris Jones Endowment Professorship in the Department of Animal and Food Sciences at Texas Tech University in Lubbock, Texas. Has a BS in animal science and MS in reproductive physiology from Texas A&M and a PhD in ruminant nutrition. He teaches courses in cow-calf management, animal breeding, genetics, and artificial insemination. He's currently conducting research aimed at defining ideal modern beef cattle conformation based on quantitative data and systems perspective. Ryan is an all-time winning coach in collegiate history, having coached 9 national champion collegiate livestock judging teams. Let's give Ryan a round of applause and welcome him here. Shorthorn Plus calves have weighed across. Winning the class and your champion in this division is entry 66, Andrew Stith from Brandenburg, Kentucky, calf weighing 1350. Second, and winning the reserve banner will be entry 65, and that's Abby Struggs from Auburn, Kentucky, with calf weighing 1180. And third in class, third overall in this division, will be number 67, and that's from Nicholasville, Kentucky, calf weighing 1398, and he will be your champion, Kentucky Proud, for the Shorthorn Plus division. As we work on through the show, it is a good likelihood that the Kentucky Proud classes will be a lead-in class, so we'd ask that those exhibitors, those Kentucky Proud exhibitors, please hang tight as we get close to the end.
All right, we've got three classes of crossbreds. This is the first one, and five very good cattle. Some of them are acting a little ornery, and these kids are doing a good job staying with them. As we get into the top pair, they're two very different kinds of cattle, even though their hip height may be comparable. I know probably at a glance you'd say, well, the one in second's kind of that big-haired, thick-ended one. I personally think, regardless of hair, that the one that starts the class, as you study him as an individual, is the closest to what we need from a skeletal build standpoint. This calf is the best balanced steer from the profile by some margin versus the one in second. He's much taller at the point of his shoulder, longer in his cannon bone, and just longer in his neck, body, and hip. And particularly the real difference is out of their hip. This calf, for me, not only goes longer out of his hip, but consequently, as a byproduct of that, he's quite a bit more athletic in the way that he maneuvers from behind. He's the best structured, the best balanced. What is he not? He's not quite market ready enough, okay? And I know I've talked about that a lot today, and it is a market cattle show. I'm going to call it close enough. I still think his muscle shape is very impressive. He's just a little bit lean and raw right now, but I think he's the best in terms of his skeletal design. So congratulations, Caroline, on your class winner. The calf that we've got here in second, I didn't ask you his name. He's made a little more like a bowling ball. He's a calf that just he's very thick, very round-bodied, very big back, very thick-ended, but he's just a little too round in the way that he's constructed in his rump, maybe a little bit shorter and thicker in terms of his neck set, and he maybe wants to just waddle a little bit as he goes behind. So from a carcass standpoint, I think he's really good in that respect, dear. He just maybe needs to be pulled apart a little bit from the profile, not from behind, right? That's a good good pair of steers. Good job to you. As we move into third, we got a calf with that's a little slicker haired, and that's a good looking calf from the side. I thought he was tall fronted, long bodied, and strong top. He wants to get a little bit cut up in his flank relative to his chest floor and then tilt a little forward in terms of his shoulder and his knee design. When I got my hands on him, he's starting to put some finish on up high over his final ribs down low. He can maybe just be mellowed up a bit, and he still needs a little more time there. So a lot I like in terms of just strength of top and expression of muscle. Young lady just needs a little more time to drop down in his body and balance up with his chest here. And so the young man that's coming next, he had a tough go here. For a moment, this calf thought he had entered him in the rodeo instead of the stock show. He just wasn't on his best behavior. But this young man has kept his cool and been very patient, and I applaud him. He's got a calf that's square hip, got some rib shape, starting to put some finish on. He gets just a little wonky in terms of his rear leg design. He's got some swelling on the inside of those hocks that I'd like to square up and clean up, and then I could move him up further in the lineup. The calf that we closed the class with, he's kind of twisting his head and a little out of sorts right now. He's just never very natural in his general stance or on the move. He gets just a little out of sorts there in his shoulder and his knee, and a little round out of his hip and straight on his rear ankle. So love him from a carcass standpoint, as good as any. He's just a calf that structurally ends up in fifth, unfortunately, in this particular class. So not much you could have done about that. This is kind of the way he grew. Let's give these exhibitors a nice round of applause here in our first group of crossbreds.
While Class 14 is going across the scales, incoming in the ring will be Class 15, and these steers are weighing between 1350 to 1399. Class 15 in the ring. Just a reminder, all breed champions, make sure that you get a packet for the championship drive so you'll have your instructions in regards to how you'll be handled tomorrow evening. So if you're a breed champion, get your packet. Class 14 has cleared the way back. Winning the class is entry 84, Caroline Maines from Falmouth, Kentucky, calf weighing 1190. Second in class is entry 49, and that's Olivia Simpson from Critton, Kentucky, calf weighing 1333. Third in class is entry 81, and that's Avery Jones from Winchester, Kentucky, calf weighing 1300. Fourth in class, entry 90, Corbin Seaver, Butler, Kentucky, and that's an entry of 1250. And fifth in class, entry 86, Bailey Miller from Greenup, Kentucky, entry 1330. Reading from the top, 14352. Carolyn Maines from Falmouth, Kentucky will be your class winner and in the Kentucky Proud division, with the reserve Kentucky Proud in this class being Corbin Seaver with a Kentucky Proud tag of 10217. Congratulations to our participants in Class 14. Let's have all those Class 16 crossbred steers to the makeup area, please. Class 16 crossbred steers. If you would, please, with the kids that's on the scooters, that's making all the noise on the top of the arena, please refrain from doing that and quit running your scooters around.
All right. Well, here in our second crossbred class, 4 very good cattle. You got to make a few decisions, in my own opinion, and that's not because they're not good. It's just maybe there's a one or two things about each of them you'd say, man, I wish that was kind of better. But in the big picture here, I thought this black calf that of Addie's was just the one that rolled into the ring, just burlier in regards to his forerib, his body shape. And then as you work back into the length of his stifle from the side view, and then you take the cattle and get in behind them or get your hands on them, it's the same storyline. This calf is just built with more total product. He's built with more body dimension and more body shape. He's got a monster forearm in him and big pipe going to the ground beyond the beautiful fit job. This calf has got a deadly look in terms of show steer proportions. One of the things that we kind of jokingly, and I say jokingly, but talk a lot about when we're judging classes with the team, is how much a difference like ear set can make on an animal. And it's nothing that's going to matter on the plate. But in terms of being one that's cocky, high, and alert in his ear set, and then having a good head on him, there's just something about that. And this calf, I think, is really elite in that regard and kind of draws you in because of because of that, also in tandem with his power. But he's got that real high neck set. If I had to change him or where I have any reservations, Addy, his front feet bother me just a little bit. I wish they were a little square. But I guess we could probably say the same about a good chunk of the club calf population. And so he gets a little rounder footed there. His structure's close enough. I don't personally find it to be maybe perfect, but it's close enough for all the market readiness, the power, the dimension that he's got. The calf that we've got here in second, this is a really nice calf. Now, I thought both of y'all told me they weighed in the 1300s. I honestly thought there'd be a bigger separation in weight just looking at the mass differences. This calf, for me, I like better in motion. I like the way he pushes off his hind leg better. I think his front feet are comparatively slightly better, but not perfect, and that was probably a bit of a decision-making factor for me. The fact that maybe both of them need to be a little better in that regard. He balances awesome. The symmetry of his lines. He's not super long hip, but the levelness relative to his tail head is extra good. Everything fits together. He's just still a little immature, and that's what I was speaking about with the weight difference. I had an expectation that maybe it was probably wider than what it was. He's a little immature in his forerib. He's a calf that's a little immature just to the center of his stifle and twist. It shortens up on him, and I think he moves better. Comparatively speaking, but I thought the margin of difference in just burliness and product and market readiness, the calf in second, maybe still not quite there, was too big of a division relative to the division I was analyzing in motion. The calf that we've got here in three, this is a calf that the young man does a wonderful job with. The calf is just not a good teammate. And I'll be honest with you, and I'm not one to sort them on hair. Being from Texas, we got slick shear shows. I'm intrigued by the balance. I'm intrigued by the shape. I can live with the fact he's given up hair. Probably his biggest disadvantage today, unfortunately, he's been pulling back literally the entire class. And consequently, it's been a little difficult to analyze the true build of his hind leg. He's very sluggish and kind of drags it. I can't figure out personally just how athletic he is there. I'd like to maybe see that calf built just a little more athletically, I think, and I'm trying to read that the best I can. I'd push him back just a little bit in his shoulder and knee, but absolutely love the composition of that calf and love his balance. Young lady, your calf here in fourth is one that has a really strong top line. I told Kendallin that her calf is really good down his top and really smooth-shouldered. I like him pretty well from a cutability standpoint. He's maybe not quite there yet in terms of the depth of his rear rib and flank relative to his chest floor. And then we get the calves in motion, and he probably doesn't outmaneuver the rest of the competition relative to giving up balance, and so he ends up in fourth. Let's give all those exhibitors there a big round of applause. They did a nice job.
Let's bring that Class 16 crossbred steers on in. Class 15 will be at the scales. 1475 to 1550. Now have class 16 in the ring. These calves are weighing from 1475 to 1550. Class 15 has cleared the scales. Winning the class is entry number 70, and that's Addison Arnett from Mount Sterling, Kentucky, calf weighing 1369. Second in class, entry 76, and that's from Ryland Hart, Falmouth, Kentucky, entry weighing 1365. Third in class, entry 80, Brox Holloway from Olmsted, Kentucky, entry weighing 1399. And fourth in class, entry 89, Kendall and Portwood from Versailles, Kentucky, entry weighing 1350. Reading from the top, 4213 in class 15.
All right, this is our third and final crossbred class. We've got cattle that weigh 1475 to 15 and a half, and so they're big and they're market ready, and these kids have done a great job picking out cattle with some legitimate performance, and I very much value that. As we look at the class, I thought there was two cattle that came together with probably just a more correct composition at this particular stage in the game. Then between them, Amelia, your calf, I thought was the more powerful option of the pair. He's one that, doesn't have that big shaggy hair coat, but he is one that's just really honest and respectable in regards to muscle and body shape and balance. As I get in behind him, I think they're just the most spread in that particular calf. He's got a little bit longer toes from behind and a little extra set to his hind leg, but that calf has got a big reach. He flexes well because of that extra length of hip. I thought just a really good, solid market steer. There's no major flash points in him in terms of bells and whistles, but product plus athleticism and market readiness is what gets him the win. Michaela, your calf right here that's acting up a little bit, if you need to take him out, that's fine. He's a calf that I thought was, got performance, but yet in a moderate frame with a lot of body capacity. He's still pretty cocky in his neck set. He's dropped a little bit in his chest line. He's maybe a little more knuckled on his rear ankle and kind of moves a little bit sideways as he goes from behind. I'd like to square him down and add more dimension to equal what I felt like we had in our class winner. Cameron, your black steer here, very well fit and presented, probably the best in class in regards to presentation. Standing there, I love his hind leg. He's very level-made, very deep-sided. He gets a little longer and narrower headed. He gets a little softer in his top line, and partially because he just doesn't have as much intensity down his back. He's just a little bit flat and average in that respect. He's long-muscled. He maybe could add a little more pop and just amp to his stifle, if you will, whenever we get in behind the cattle. The calf that we close with, he's a little burlier in terms of that rib cage. He wants to get just a little bit looser in terms of his parts and pieces. His balance and structure maybe misses the mark just a little bit, and he's maybe starting to get a little stale from a condition standpoint up here through his shoulder and his brisket and his cheek and throat latch. He's a good calf, got lots of capacity. Just need to tidy him up, strengthen those lines, and see him go just a little square on his rear ankle. Let's give these four exhibitors a really nice round of applause. They did an outstanding job there on a set of big heavyweight cattle.
We'll have to take just a moment till the Class 16 gets across the scales before we bring Class 14, 15, and 16 in for your champion crossbred steer.
Good. If we could, let's put our hands together and congratulate our crossbred exhibitors. I think we had, what do we have, 12 or 15 head in this particular division, and they did a great job. A few decisions to be made, and that's what makes it fun when we get into this show steer setting is we've all got different opinions. I thought in that first class that Caroline's calf was the better built, better balanced one, and he's still pretty immature. I was asking Caroline down here on the chips what his weight was and if she intended to show him in the future again. He weighs 1190, and so he's more of a progress steer than he is a fat steer. I think personally, given how the quality of his build, you put another 250 pounds on that calf, you're talking about a pretty darn good calf. That would be pretty tough to turn. It would just be a matter of whether or not he's close enough on hair to convince the judge, right? Because everything else there, if you want me to be honest with you, I think he might be the most complete steer of the six standing out here, but he's just not quite yet there yet from a market-ready standpoint. We move into that middle class, and for me, I thought we had two just exceptionally high-quality cattle here. Addie's steer is maxed out in terms of the job that she's done and also the job not only here showmanship-wise, but getting his hair ready to roll for the state fair and then getting him fitted to the nines. He's got such an alert presence. I talked about his cocky ear set and head and neck set, and that draws me in. His proportions are really good. I like, as I've said, and I'll restate it, cattle that are moderate in their hip height but extremely long-bodied. He puts that tandem together that I like, and yet in a very round, bold-bodied fashion. He's loaded up with muscularity and great to the touch. He's a really, really nice calf that, misses maybe just a little bit structurally in terms of maybe shoulder slope and then front feet quality, but very close relative to the power and the quality that he is carrying. The chrome calf in behind him, really good off his hip and hind leg. Maybe just could kind of fit inside that other one today, and I felt like that was the difference. Then as we got to that last class, Amelia, your steer does not obviously have the hair coat as the two that I just discussed. But if y'all would for a moment, just look at the calf and study his structural angles, study the roundness of his rib cage, study the correctness of his musculature. This calf here has a gigantic top. There's a tremendous amount of volume and shape in his round. And so from a red meat yield standpoint, this calf is going to be very impressive. Red meat yield, same thing as cutability. That'll be the term that we start to talk about in the industry. We're going to kind of phase out a yield grade, and we're going to talk about metrics that measure red meat yield. And this calf will be very exceptional for his carcass weight in regards to the proportion of it that will be muscle. Very nice calf, just a little longer toed, a little plainer here in the ring. Champion will be Addie. Let's give her a big round of applause. Nice job. Good work. Yep. You and I both have black hands. Bo over here brought me a towel, and I appreciate that. Every steer judge needs a towel. There's no doubt about that. This calf we've got here in second that was in that class will be our reserve champion. Congratulations. Good job. We got to pick third, so stay put just 1 second, Caroline. Do y'all want to get the third place in that class back in here, or y'all want me to go ahead and choose? Not in here? Okay. All right. Well, as we start to look at third with those that remain, again, I do really like Caroline's calf down there. It's really just a question of whether or not he's market ready. This fundamentally is still an outstanding calf. He is market ready. Amelia, you're going to be my third overall in this division.
We need Sierra Miller for the show for Champion Kentucky Proud or Reserve Champion Kentucky Proud. Excuse me, Sarah Miller.
All right, one more task on the desk. The third overall selected was the champion Kentucky Proud Steer, and now we need to select the reserve. Caroline, I really like the quality of your steer. He's going to be my reserve Kentucky Proud Steer. Congratulations to you.
Congratulations to our crossbred steer exhibitors. Winning this group is entry 70, and that's Addison Arnett from Mount Sterling, Kentucky. Calf weighing 1369. The reserve is Ryland Hart out of that same class. Entry 76 from Falmouth, Kentucky, weighing 1365. And your third is entry 74 out of class 16, Amelia Gripsover from Auburn, Kentucky, calf weighing 1539. Your Kentucky Proud champion is Amelia Gripsover from Auburn, Kentucky, and reserve Kentucky Proud would be Carolyn Maines from Falmouth, Kentucky. 4. Yep. 4. Only 3 in the class, but it's 4. Okay, let's get organized and bring that class 17 market heifers are in the ring. Let's have 18 on deck and ready. Have your attention in the barn. Let's have those market heifer classes in the makeup area. The classes are small, only 3 head in the classes, so let's have those market heifers in the makeup area.
We've got 4 classes of market heifers. The first one is pretty lightweight here, and you've got honestly 2 cattle in first and second that are more muscular, probably better carcass cattle from a market heifer standpoint. And then probably the best structured one, honestly, is in third. but she's a little bit tall and narrow. So I went with the muscle, the black-white bellied heifer, one that I still thought proportionally balanced from the side in combination with her muscularity versus the smoke heifer. She's more deeper in regards to her rear rib and flank, smoother in her tail head lay. Just need to free her up structurally. Same case, so with the chocolate heifer. Young man, your heifer just gets a little cranked in that tail head, a little cut up in her flank, but I like her length of body, and I like her cutability. The Blue Roan, again, just ends up kind of in third because of her muscularity relative to her frame. But when we get them out in motion, this heifer right here has got the best feet. She's got the most reach, and so I very much value that. So congratulations here to our exhibitors in our first market heifer class.
Those Class 17 market heifers have cleared the scales, winning the class. Entry 106, Annabelle Smith from Ewing, Kentucky. Calf win 875. Second in class, entry 107, also Annabelle Smith from Ewing, Kentucky. Win 996, with third in class being entry 109, Addie Mae Williams from Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Entry weighing 991.
Carter, you got a big fan club out here. There you go. Hi, Carter, you did a fine job. This handsome young man comes in and takes care of business. He's got a heifer that I like a lot. She's presented very good. I thought she was really good on her feet and leg structure, just moved awesome. And then in terms of balance, she's not that super alert, cocky fronted one, but everything just comes together in a sensible fashion in regards to lines and lengths and proportions. And then to call her a market heifer, I still think she's loaded up with the most muscle mass in the group. The calf that we've got here in second, honestly, a lot like her in a lot of ways, just not as big bone, not quite as attractive through her front 1/3, not quite as much volume of muscle, but yet simultaneously she's moderate, she's deep, she's easy feeding, she's smooth shouldered, and she's a good kind of cattle, just like our class winner. Savannah, your heifer down here, she's one that I really like her depth of rib, her body capacity, and her natural fleshing ability. She wants to get maybe just a little too easy feeding, and the fact that she's a little fuller through her front third and around her tail head relative to maybe needing a little more muscularity. But you did a great job, Savannah. I'm very proud of you. Congratulations to our exhibitors here in this class.
Class 18's headed to the scales. Let's bring Class 19 in the ring. 19 to the ring, please.
Just a pair of heifers in this group. Hudson will take the win. This Smoky heifer, it's pretty obvious her advantages. We can all see it. She's got more body. She's got a tremendous amount of power and muscle relative to the average market heifer, and she's extraordinarily long-bodied. But I like her composition really well. Hudson, I thought he did a good job managing her to be market-ready, but yet still clean and lean in terms of her lines and cutability. So nice job to you. I'd free her up a little bit in her hip-loin junction and her rear joints in a perfect world, but plenty good enough. The heifer that we've got here in second, you did, again, wonderful job, Carrie, in terms of showmanship, the way you parked her right there. Very smooth made female, one that looks like she'll go choice all day long if we happen to harvest her. I don't know what her outcome is, but maybe just need to add a little more power to balance with her front end. Congratulations to both of y'all.
As Class 19 goes across the scales, let's bring Class 20 on in. Class 20 market heifers in the ring. Market heifers in Class 19 have cleared the scales. Winning the class is entry 108. That belongs to Hudson Tackett from Falmouth, Kentucky, weighing 1285. Second in Class 19, entry 99, Carrie Kugel from Owensboro, Kentucky, weighing 1223. Hudson Tackett's heifer will also be the class winner in regards to Kentucky Proud, with Kentucky Proud tag 8781.
All right, in this class here, three cattle that all have a ton of carcass merit from a market perspective. I thought when we had the cattle in motion, this heifer that starts, the sock-footed female, prevailed in that moment. She's one that I think naturally has a good slope to her shoulder. She's level from hooks to pins, and then beneath that, I thought met the ground probably the truest in her rear joints. She's still got plenty of body and then from behind, plenty of width and market readiness. This heifer, I'd like to strengthen her spine. Obviously, we can all see that. She gets a little soft in her top line, but otherwise, I thought a pretty convincing class winner. I thought the call really was between 2 and 3, and truthfully, I wouldn't argue with you much either way. This heifer, to me, just fit the mold of the one that we started more correctly. And just sustain that pattern of logic. She's moderate. She's deep-sided. She's got volume of round from the side, and she's certainly above average as you get in behind her. She wants to maybe, and I know right now she's pulling back, but she looks like she gets a little steeper in her shoulder and a little lower at the top of it, and then just a little bit more abbreviated in terms of just how she flexes out in her hock. But I thought collectively very proportionally balanced. And then the Baldy stocking-legged female, this is the outlier, right? I kind of had to decide what to do with your heifer. She's a super expressive, long-bodied, long kind of choke-necked one. She gets just a little bit frailer in her foot and ankle, just a little tighter in her flank relative to her chest, and a little rounder and rolled in the pitch to her hip and rump as we get them in motion. And so I elected to put her third, and it's probably more so from a pattern perspective and just how that class fits together. But she's got an immense amount of muscle in her. Congratulations to those exhibitors.
Be a couple minutes while those Class 20 heifers get across the scales, and then we'll be showing for your champion market heifer division. Need all those first and seconds. Please be a standby to come in as soon as they clear the scales.
All right. Well, our market heifer division maybe ended up being our biggest division, didn't it? When the kids did a great job. We started with a class of cattle that weighed 800 or 900 pounds. They're just not very big, some tinker toys, if you will. And the black white bellied heifer is one that, if at that weight is probably the closest to being finished out. She's got plenty of muscle. Maybe just need to give her a little more athletic running gear. Carter, this young man has done a marvelous job. He knew there was a Red Raider judging, so he put his best-looking red shirt on and brought a good-looking black heifer to the ring. This heifer is really high quality. I love her structure. I love her balance. I just don't think she really has any major flaws in her. I think she's quite good, and I like her a bunch. The calf that we come out of the Class 3 with, Hudson's, this is a calf that, she's really, really powerful, arguably the most powerful market heifer in the division. And it doesn't matter really what shot you grab of her from the side, from above, from behind. She has that same advantage. Got a monstrous rib cage in her, and compositionally market ready, but high cutability. She maybe could have bigger feet underneath her just to match her big old powerful barrel. She's not perfect structured, but she's pretty darn good for a market heifer. I like her very well. The sock-footed heifer out of the last class, she's got a gorgeous front end and neck set to her, really big forearmed and bigger footed and bigger ankled. This female has got some width to her. She hawks in a little bit, mainly just like to organize her a little stronger in her spine and bring her together better there. But very nice offering here. For me personally, I thought it was pretty straightforward. I thought there was one heifer or one animal that stood out as the most fault-free. Carter, you're going to have our champion. Congratulations. Good job. We get our second place heifer in there, and as we said, she's a lot like that other heifer in regards to frame score and depth of rib and general proportionality. She's not nearly as big or maybe attractive in the eliteness of her hind legs. She wants to maybe get just a little bit thicker into her cheek and down into her chest relative to the balance through her stifle. And so maybe could intensify her there just relative to her balance in terms of her round and stifle. I personally thought this decision now got really close between Class 3 and Class 4, and I'm probably good with either one, but my preference today is to go with the powerhouse, the young man's Charolais heifer here. Hudson, I believe. Is that right? Hudson, congratulations, buddy. Then our third overall, as I've kind of alluded to, will be your heifer, and that was a very tight call. Congratulations to this young man on his third overall.
Have your attention, please. We wheeled the Kentucky Proud overall division champions. We need you back at the ring. We'll be a lead-in class, Kentucky Proud. For Kentucky Proud champion, we'll need percent AOB Kentucky Proud, entry 11, Oliver Glipsover. Main division, entry 44, Madison Arnett. Simmental division, entry 58, Harper Beckett. Percentage Red Angus division, entry 53, Mathington Ethington. Shorthorn Plus, entry 67, Hadley Wilson. Crossbred Steers, entry 74, Amelia Gibson. And entry 84, Carolyn Maines. Market Heifers, entry 108, Hudson Tackett. And 102, Briar Osborne. We need those individuals back to the ring, please, for Kentucky Proud Division champions. We need entry from Hadley Wilson and from Madeline Ethington, please. This is the last call. Your Kentucky Proud division is in the ring. We need Hadley Wilson and Madeline Ethington. That's entry 53 and 67. This will be the silent selection for Kentucky Proud representation in the Grand Drive tomorrow night, with the winners announced at that time. Let's give the judge, Ryan Rathman, a round of applause for his evaluation of our cattle today. On behalf of all the staff here at the clerking table, certainly appreciate all of you exhibitors being in on a timely manner and bringing your cattle here today, and look forward to seeing our champions in the Supreme Drive tomorrow night.